Good morning, starshine. The earth says hello. I woke up 15 minutes ago. I know you can tell that I woke up 15 minutes ago. I'm so, I woke up on time. Like, I literally woke up on time. I don't know why it's doing this. Why is it not? Oh, I see. Oh, that's weird. Why does it have a chat screen that's so different? Isn't that weird? I think that's so weird. Oh my god. Okay, well, forget that. I don't really want that. I don't want anything to do with you. Get out of my life and leave me alone. Leave me alone. I'm not ready to go to the headlines yet. I think I need a minute. I think we all need a minute on this Monday morning, on this Monday of Mondays. Where's our dino? Where's our dino chasing? Dino chasing, cause it's Monday. Yeah. Oh, look at this, like, transparent. I think that's cool. Whoa. Well, I don't really know where to put this because, frankly, let's move this. We're gonna make this a little smaller. Where's my? There it is. Okay, stop it. Make it a little smaller. And then I'm gonna move Mondays over here. I'm gonna move Mondays over here. Maybe I should put it here. Mondays, am I right? Am I right? Can you believe it? Actually, I'm gonna turn the campfire off because I woke up 10 minutes ago. There we go. Good morning, starshine. The earth says hello. It sounds terrible this morning. I guess it's because I woke up 15 minutes ago. Well, maybe 20 now. And the coffee's very hot, so I'm being a little careful. I hope your coffee is hot too. Oh, I know. If I did this, I'm always trying to think of how do you use the real estate on this here YouTube's. Let's move this little guy up here. Mondays. Am I right? Doesn't need to be that big. Oops. Fuck me, I can't resize this window. I'm trying to resize this window. There it goes. Thank God. Thank God it's there. I could resize that window so I can put things on the screen that make sense. My eyelid just stuck to the bottom of my eye. Why did my eyelid stick to the bottom of my eye? Could it be that I woke up now 20 minutes ago? Yes, it could. Yes, it could. Yes, it could. Don't you know? Yep, that's what's important. However,
make sure you smoke a sufficient number of joints per day. Make sure you smoke a sufficient number of joints per day.
Oh, is the lounge music still playing?
Make sure you smoke a sufficient number of joints
per day. Is that still playing?
Make sure you smoke a sufficient number of joints per day. Make sure you smoke a sufficient number of joints per day.
Was the lounge music still playing?
Make sure you smoke a sufficient number of joints.
Here. Was the lounge music still playing? I don't know. I can't tell what's happening here. Ow. What's happening here? I just burned my finger. That's how hot my coffee is. I burned my finger. I can't, anyway. Ugh. Yeah. Do you ever feel like your eyeballs are... I didn't do anything last night. I actually went to bed at a somewhat normal time. How am I so, like, wiped out? I don't even get it. Good morning to the 4 wonderful people watching on YouTube. Nobody on Twitch yet. And then the rest of the 12 viewers, that'd be 8, are sitting over there on Twitter, on the shitter. Which maybe everybody's on the shitter. I mean, there could be more than one person. Okay, I'm going to stop. Anyway. Yeah, welcome. Welcome to Wake and Bake with Lolo. I'm Lolo. And this is my show. And this what we do in Wake and Bake is I wake up, I smoke a lot of weed, and but that's not the main content. The main content is I try to read the news headlines. I happen to have a year-long subscription that even if I cancel, in fact, I did cancel it for the New York Times, I still paid for it. It was a trial thing that I made a boo-boo on, and I had to suck it up, buttercup. So I did. So no, I'm not a fan of the New York Times in terms of their weirdo reporters and bosses, but you know, they'll give us news, so we'll use their news. Might as well, since it's been paid for. But yeah, other than that, I don't know, man. Let's see. I'm not sure what's happening. Let's see. And New York Times. It's the New York Times. It's New York Times. Yeah. Womp womp. Big week this week, I think. I think we're gonna get some news on immunity. I don't expect it to be the news we were hoping for. I expect there not to be... I expect him to have some weird carve-out of immunity. I don't know how this works. How does money work? He's going to carve out immunity against trying to actually stay in power. Because if you look at the sum total of the parts, that's what chuds tend not to do. Actually, and MAGA tends not to look at the parts. They look at the whole, or they look at the whole that's been told to them. And I think as humans must not want to be perceived like that, right? And I understand they think that anyone who votes for Joe Biden is equally sheeple. But what I notice on the side of the Joe Biden people is that there are many of us who will disagree, who will, blah, 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 but also realize that democratic politics are better for the nation. because, not just because the goals of the Democrats, and not perfectly executed, obviously. It's called a more perfect union, not a perfect union. The Democrats will traditionally represent policies that help all people in this country, even people that you disagree with, even people I disagree with. And at the end of the day, I'm good with that. I'm good with that. I'm good with everybody getting recognized and support and being valued as a person. And I want, MAGA, explain to me where your MAGA policies, give me the specific policies that your candidate, your dude, has pushed forward. Come on, Daisy. Daisy's this big drunk racist on YouTube. I will not drop her channel because nobody needs to see that. But she's really one of the most vile people on this on this landscape. And she's a trumper, man. She's like, anything he does is like the most amazing. Although she couldn't probably tell me what he's done. That's the problem. See, so there's the rub. The rub is you don't know your candidates. You don't know what your political stance actually means. You don't actually, MAGA does not actually understand what their views are and how those become actual policies. They can't. And they're the party of denying freedom. So I don't understand why anyone would vote Republican, because Muskie, where have you been? I missed you. I'm good. It's nice to see you this morning. I'm just getting on my soapbox a little bit. Getting up here on the soapbox, wondering who's going to come around and say hello. Hoo-hoo. Yeah, so I mean, it's the lack of intellectualism that really gets me. That's what it really gets me. I can't even, like, I don't have any respect for it. Oops. I don't know if that's why people, like, on the Chud side never really wanted to talk to me, because there's just no argument. They don't have an argument. I'm okay. Went on a vacay. I'm so happy to hear that, Muskie. That's so great. I love that. Yay. I dig that. Great. Super cool. I'm not going to ask you where you went, so don't worry about that. But yeah, so it's just a lack of intellectual, any kind of like thinking. No, it's not. I'm not even going to call it intellectual. That sounds too fancy. It's like not thinking. And definitely not caring. Oops. So you can't really tell me that you care about humans if you don't understand what the threat is from the current GOP. If you don't, I just don't understand it. I'm sorry, I don't get it. I mean, wake up. Wake up. You've been fed like packaged hate. Everything has been packaged for you with all of your issues laid out, right? So TERFs like whatever her name is on this YouTube, TERFs like her can sit there and go, don't touch the kids, don't touch the kids, don't touch the kids, don't touch the kids. Well, it's only because somebody fed her that line, that transgender affirming care was only about kind of manipulating children's bodies. What, are you stupid? Are you fucking that dumb? You honestly think there's a group of parents out there that want to maim their child in ways like you seem to be categorizing? No. If their child is transgender and they decide as a family with their medical professionals to pursue any course of treatment, which, by the way, happens very rarely, as I understand it, in terms of surgical. So, hi, easily. So I don't think you understand what actually is happening in the world, number one. Number two, I think you are the sheep that has taken the pablum and you regurgitate it for me. And I can't ask you any questions about that because you just get mad. But it's not me that holds those views. It's you. You're the one who holds those views, not me. So that's why I can't always engage with a conversation to get us to a different place. Because I can't. Good morning. Hi, gal. Hi, oomph. How are you? Hi, easily. How are you? Yeah, so anyway, I just think, I'm just really tired of, and it's probably a me problem because I hear too much of it, but the ignorance is weird and it's annoying. So anyway, that was my little tiny baby speech box for this morning. Hi, I just woke up like 30 minutes ago, so I'm not really awake. I should put the headlines on. Hold on. Happy Monday. Happy Monday. Happy Monday. Happy Monday. Happy Monday. Okay, where's my, oh, there it is. Beep. Mop, moop. Meep, mop, moop. Mama, mop. Meep, mop, moop. Meep, mop, moop, moop, mop, meep, mop, meep, moop. Mama, mop, 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 mop. Weep, moop. There's no room at the inn. Okay, we'll do that. When you do headlines, definitely go back to this weekend's Flynn. Oh, yes. I actually do want to read that. People should listen to us. God damn it. I'm so tired of it. All these years, people are like, blue anon, stew anon, you're just like, making. No, okay, we're following the fucking trail of shit. That's all. We're just listening to what they say and what they post. That's all. I don't know what else to do. I mean, are you not supposed to take people at their word? I don't get that. That seems peak dumb to me, actually. Peak naive, which I've been accused of being naive before, that's for sure. And I'm one gullible bitch, I'll tell you that, man. You can probably get just about anything over on me, because I will trust you, because guess what? I default to trust. And I actually think that's a good thing. I think that makes me a nice human, because I always default to trust. And some of you can fuck me over multiple times before I'll let you go. So it's not, I'm actually pretty flexible. Pretty flexible. Pretty good friend. I'm a pretty good friend to have. I don't know. Anyway, I don't know where I got off on that tangent, but while I'm promoting myself, I'm promoting myself as friend. Actually, I'm probably not that good a friend. I'm terrible. I'm terrible at like going out or things like that or talking on the phone. I'm terrible at that. So part of me is a terrible friend. God, this coffee is really good, but it's very hot. I didn't really fix myself this morning. I was like, oh my God, it's 6:15. You have to go out in 15 minutes and you still have to feed the cat. Cats, which I did. Everybody got fed. Everybody got their thing this morning. Anyway. Yeah. And this week is the debate. Oh my goodness. This should be interesting. I don't think Joe's going to do great. Can I just be honest? Can we just say what I'm thinking? Can I say what I'm thinking? I don't think Joe's going to do great, but I don't care. Because at the end of the day, here's the thing about it. First of all, his debate performance is not his presidential prowess. Number one. Number two, I'm listening for what his policies are. I don't care how he says them. I don't care how long it takes him to say them. Because what I realize about the presidency is that it's Joe and Kamala and a whole bunch of other people creating good things for humans. And you want to know why they are so scared of Joe Biden? Why they absolutely are terrified of another Joe Biden presidency? Because he got shit done. Yeah, you know that shuffly guy who falls? He got shit done. And if you actually put legislative gains against, without names, I would hazard a guess that I think if you looked at and stacked up those records, you would find that administration in particular had accomplished a lot given the House and Senate, given all of that. So if you're going to come for Joe, show me the data that says your guy is better than my guy, if we're going to go there. Because I don't see it. I actually am looking at legislation. Does he do everything perfect? No. But that's what makes me a good Democrat, is because I can hold both things in my head at once. I think he'll show up. Yeah, gal, I want calm over chaos. I want calm. We have a lot of shit going on in the world. We have a lot of people suffering. And this country needs to be helping. You know, and I don't want war. I don't want any of that. I am anti-war because I grew up that way. I am probably the most anti-war person I know, but I also know that there are factors that cause some of these conflicts that were done intentionally. They're so scared of democracy. You don't understand. You don't understand. Don't you see? So many of them have been pardoned. So many of them are now like trying to skirt the law, you know, and trying to evade. Tom Barrack, all these guys, right? All these guys are working as hard as they can to keep their fucking asses out of prison. Okay? Yeah, we are not in these wars. Yeah, we are not in these wars. So, I kind of forgot where I was going, but anyway, the point is that I want an administration. I want to fix the failures of past administrations. And yet what we're doing is worrying about, we're not even trying, we're just trying to survive, right? And I know that's, but for some people, a change in administration threatens their very survival. That's what the point is. It may not threaten my survival if Trump wins, but it threatens someone else's. And that's enough for me. And it should be enough for you. That's what I'm trying to say. It should be enough. Oh my God. I mean, I get it. And it's hard to battle. It's hard to argue, you know, core ideological values. If you don't believe that immigrants are people, then it's real hard for me to convince you to be human around immigrants, right? Like to give them humanity. So anyway, Biden has turned out to be way more effective than I anticipated. Yeah, he has. He has. I was going for Elizabeth Warren, by the way. Okay. That's who I was voting for. And then I listened to, what's his name down in South Carolina? And he said, enough. We got to focus. And it turns out he was right. Jim Clyburn. Thank you, Jim Clyburn. I was a Warren fan. I'm going to admit it. And I liked stuff that Bernie said. Okay? I like that stuff. I want Medicare for all. I want CEO pay capped. You know, I want those things. So, Trump would literally turn Gaza into a golf course. Yeah, that's what this was all about, by the way. People need to understand that. He's been entirely captured by the Christian nationalists. So Trump is driven by self-preservation and power, yes. But primarily self-preservation. So he's making deals with everyone in order to, to get to the next side. case I made to Chud in law before 2016. Didn't trust Trump to return an unbroken office when he was done. The other professional politician I trusted to know how to use it well and not break it. There you go. And that's really it. Again, the transition of power is very, very, very delicate, clearly. And we, as a country, I think, have taken for granted that all of these things just function with some regularity. Well, I think the Trump administration proved to us that they just don't function unless somebody's actually moving it along. So for better or worse, and you can hate the federal government all you want, they have been moving the wheels of government forward. And that is their job. Now, they can do better, right? Better. But Trump realizes, Trump and his cronies, all of them, Bannon, everybody, they realize that the jig is up. And it's getting closer. And they may act like they don't care and, oh my God, and who cares, and fuck Joe Biden and blah, blah, blah. They care a lot. They care a lot. So many Trump voters lost their right or didn't have the right to vote. Yep. So I don't know. I don't know. But I feel like I've got the superior position here, and I'm sorry for all the chuds that don't feel that, but that's just the way it is. That's just the way it is. Oh, some things will never change. Oh, but don't you believe it? But you gotta believe it because it's happening. Anyway, so that's my speech. Good morning and welcome to Wake and Bake. Let's bake. Let's bake. Oh, great, the abortion debate. Thank goodness. I was worried we wouldn't be talking about something depressing. All right, oops. Let me put my feet up on my little, chair thing. Let me fall. Adjust my thing. Get my this and that and this and those. And let me smoke some weed. Stone should be arrested too. Easily, I did see that. Yeah, I know you have to have something to arrest them on. I get that. So, I don't know. I just don't know. I feel like that I don't know. I can't even talk about the DOJ because I'm like, I don't even know. I don't have any words. Because I don't know how that stuff works. All right? So I'm not trying to be up somebody's ass about it. But I do think we could be a little more aggressive in our, I don't know. And I guess if you think, let's just take EO 13848, right? The executive order that Trump signed in September of 2018, right before the 2018 midterms, and the aim of the EO was to, I think it adjusted, Gal can tell me for sure, but I think it adjusted the fact that the USAID, kind of election managing type thing could be instituted domestically as well as foreign. I don't know if that's really the essence. I probably am missing the essence, but and quit putting in Republican DOJ, right? Really, for fuck's sake. Expand the court. No, I know they can't do all that. They need the Congress. We need the Congress. Please vote down ticket. Please. Please vote down ticket. Because here's what's going to happen. Okay, guys? The chuds can't make it through the whole ballot. I mean, I know this. We know this to be true. They'll look for all the R's, but it gets a little confusing sometimes. So they're really going to vote for Trump and then leave it at that. If they vote. Which they will. I mean, the word right now in Chudverse is vote, 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 vote. Trump is saying vote however you need to. Bannon is saying vote however you need to. I know he wants paper ballots, one-day voting, all that stuff, but he keeps saying people vote however you can. So he's scared. They know. Anyway. Wah, 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 wah. Please share the broadcast. 48 viewers with 11 here on YouTube. Thank you so much. The rest of them on Twitter. EO13848 was about the actions that could be taken if foreign interference shown in a federal election. Okay, but including confiscating equipment. Okay, that's what it was. Thank you. So that's why we heard so much about Italy and Serbia and Venezuela and all these other countries from the Kraken team, because they needed that foreign interference. So I'm concerned because when you stack up all the actions like Gal did in the Insurrection Was Plan B, Gal Suburban and Jim Stewartson wrote a really good series on this, on the lead up to January 6th and how we got to January 6th. And it's a very good series. We're going to do a little show on it and kind of revisit it years later and see what's changed. So that's coming up in the next few weeks. We just have to figure out a date. And yeah, it also provided for a report to be written within 45 days of an election to analyze foreign interference. It was due in December 2020, and it was delayed. And that's when Trump wrote the tweet, "Come to D.C. on January 6th. Will be wild." Because their plans fell through. Trump's not a politician. That dude has tried for president. I know, 6 times. Yes, he really is. He's not really I'm not really, he's just a symptom. I mean, he was kind of like he was the infection that spread a little. And then people were like, oh, okay, I like that infection. I think I'm going to keep that infection going. Because it worked for them, right? I don't know. We have a lot of education to do in this country soon. Okay. Now we're going to go to the news. Man. Oh, and tonight, 5 o'clock Pacific, 8 o'clock Eastern, Twitter Space, Spaced Out Space with Lolo and friends. Come on down. Come on down to the burger barn and see what we're cooking up for you. Come on down to the burger barn and see what we're cooking for you. Ooh. Trump's not got to turn Trump donors. Well, they're the ones that want to preserve that wealth, and he's their meal ticket. So they're happy to pay. They're happy to give him money so that he will hold what is that? Is that the herald? What's the banner guy? What's the person that holds the banner? Color guard? What's the other one? There's a better name for it. So that he can hold the banner and march forward as they go. All right, let's talk about news. Let's talk about news, baby. Let's talk about you and me. Let's talk about all the good things and the bad things that can be. Let's talk about news. Let's talk about news. Standard bearer. Thank you. God. Thank you. Yes. He lowered the standards and to depths that they were like, oh, whoa, look how low he's going. That's awesome. Look how low we can go now. We can go even lower than we've been going because he went lower. You see what I'm saying? He led them down. So now it like expanded the amount of shitty stuff they can do and not be, yeah, the standard is upside down. It's in distress, right? The standard is in distress. That's pretty funny. That's pretty funny. Anyway, okay. Abortion debate shifts as election nears. Now it's about pregnancy. Okay, so then they're going into the IVF thing. Because if women aren't voting to allow other women to get abortion health care, maybe we can convince them if it has something to do with babies being born. Okay. Yeah, can we do that? Is that okay? Fuck off. 2 years after the end of Roe v. Wade. Yeah, Roe's gone. I don't even know what. I don't even think I would have thought of having this conversation 10 years ago. I never even would have thought that this could be a conversation 10 years ago. And here we are. The conversation has turned to the complications that can come with pregnancy, helping to drive support for abortion rights. Oh. Election updates. Democrats are highlighting. Oh, okay. Well, that's a good point. A study of 50 years of friend of the court briefs analyzed whether the filings, oh my God, influenced. I kind of want to see this. In abortion cases, legions of friends seek to persuade Supreme Court. A new study analyzed 50 years of friend of the court briefs and found that abortion opponents were more relentless than their adversaries, with some reflected in the justices' opinions. See, that might be something. Anti-abortion activists in Washington in 1981, 8 years after Roe v. Wade, the Supreme Court has received hundreds of friends of the court briefs about abortion in the years since the decision. All right, here we go. Republicans, the party of no morals, right? Exactly. When the Supreme Court decided Roe v. Wade in 1973, establishing a constitutional right to abortion, it noted that it had received 14 friend of the court briefs and listed them in a snug footnote at the beginning of the decision. By 1992, when the court reaffirmed Roe's core holding in Planned Parenthood v. Casey, the number of such filings, which lawyers call amicus briefs, had swelled to more than 30, and the footnote reciting them had grown unwieldy, taking up more than a page. In the decision that overturned Roe in 2022, Dobbs v. Jackson Women's Health Organization, the court was flooded with more than 140 amicus briefs. The footnote had metastasized, spanning 7 pages. Those 50 years of amicus briefs tell a cumulative story, one explored in a new study published in the Missouri Law Review, The Rhetoric of Abortion in Amicus Briefs. Using corpus linguistics, a social science tool that analyzes patterns of words in large databases, the study found that the briefs, quote, serve as a barometer revealing how various constituencies talk about abortion, women, fetuses, physicians, rights, and harms over time. Hi, Joe. Ooh. The study, conducted by Jamie Abrams, a law professor at American University, and Amanda Potts, who teaches at Cardiff University, concluded that opponents of abortion had in some ways been more effective, remaining resolutely, quote, resolutely intent on advancing fetal personhood. The anti-abortion briefs were nimble, they wrote, and were able to adapt and evolve in response to the doctrinal shifts of the court. Overall, the authors wrote, abortion opponents had pressed a more relentlessly human, emotional, personal attack to pursue its political agenda. The authors, self-described feminist scholars. Okay, all right. Oh boy. Wrote that supporters of abortion rights, quote, simply could not counter these arguments within conventional advocacy strategies. None of this means that the many scores of amicus briefs were particularly influential. Indeed, the sheer number of briefs probably diluted the power of any individual one. Normally, I didn't even read amicus briefs, Justice John Paul Stevens told me in 2011, a year after he retired and a few years before he died in 2019. Justice Antonin Scalia, who died in 2016, said something similar in 2011 at the Chicago-Kent College of Law. Quote, my law clerks read all amicus briefs, he said. If there's one that has a hidden truffle in there somewhere, they call it to my attention. Wow, do your job. Yes, asshole. Where we go? This is interesting to me. SCOTUS will hear a challenge to Tennessee law banning transition care for minors. Oh, interesting. Biden had asked them to take up the case, U.S. v. Skirmetti, arguing that the measure outlaws my eyes are like really fuzzy, so I can't focus. Treatment for gender dysphoria and use, and frames that prohibition in explicitly sex-based terms. This is a mess. That's a fucking mess. We'll go to that in a minute. I try to make the Supreme Court accessible to readers. I strive to distill. Oh, sorry, Adam. Oh, is that it? Okay. Still, Allison Orr Larson, a law professor at William and Mary, who has written extensively on amicus briefs, said some of the new study's findings highlight for me a problem in abortion litigation that I think applies to amicus practice more generally. More amici than ever claim to be factual experts, but in reality, these experts are motivated by advocacy and masked in neutral-sounding names. I love that. That's a great sentence right there. For example, the New York Times reported last week that a questionable survey on gun safety cited in amicus briefs made its way into a concurring opinion from Justice Samuel Alito in a major Second Amendment case in 2022. Something similar happened in a 2007 abortion decision, Gonzalez v. Carhart, which upheld the federal Partial Birth Abortion Ban Act. Justice Kennedy, writing for the majority, supplemented his legal analysis with an observation drawn from an amicus brief. Quote, while we find no reliable data to measure the phenomenon, it seems unexceptional to conclude that some women come to regret their choice to abort the infant life they once created and sustained, he wrote, citing a brief filed by the Justice Foundation, an anti-abortion group. It's none of your beeswax what I regret, okay? Do you have to hold my hand? Are you going to sit there and hold my hand, bitch? No, he's not. In a 2008 article, the Duke Law Journal, Reva Siegel, a law professor at Yale, said the passage was remarkable. Quote, the woman protective argument that appears in Carhart seems to have entered the case not through findings of Congress or the lower courts, but rather through the amicus brief filed in the Supreme Court, she wrote. That phenomenon is troubling. Professor Larson said, the end result is that the studies and statistics and history presented by these groups are selected by people with a dog in the fight and presented to the justices without any serious adversarial testing or fact-checking. It is a system ripe for abuse and risks tainting Supreme Court decisions with unreliable evidence. No duh. The Supreme Court heard two abortion cases this term. One on whether emergency rooms in states with strict abortion bans must sometimes perform the procedure, and the other on whether to limit the availability of abortion pills. There were, as usual, scores of amicus briefs, though not as many as were filed in Dobbs. The first case will probably be decided this week. In the second, the court unanimously ruled earlier this month that the doctors and medical groups challenging the Food and Drug Administration's approval of the pills lacked the standing to sue. Professor Abrams said that passages in Justice Clarence Thomas's concurring opinion in that case reflected a rhetorical trend in amicus briefs by groups opposing abortion, which she said have increasingly demonized abortion caregivers over time from Roe to Dobbs. She pointed to a sentence that managed, she said, to use four loaded words in succession. Just as abortionists lack standing to assert the rights of their clients, Justice Thomas wrote, doctors who oppose abortion cannot vicariously assert the rights of their patients. Professor Abrams reviewed the bidding. So-called abortionists have clients, she said, and so-called doctors who are opposed to abortion have patients. Interesting. Yes. Semantics. It matters. Oh, that's it. Okay, let's go to some things that Cal has dropped for us. Here's Mother Jones. Let's do this. Oh, ooh. New Roe ad from Biden. This is good. Whoops. Hold on, Joe.
After 50 years of failure. Here's what Donald Trump says about your freedom. After 50 years of failure, with nobody coming even close, I was able to kill Roe v. Wade. 2 years ago, the Supreme Court justices that Trump handpicked helped overturn Roe v. Wade.
Never before has the court granted and then taken away a widely recognized constitutional right.
New laws banning abortion are taking effect.
Decades of progress shattered just because the last guy got 4 years in the White House. We know what will happen if he gets another 4. For MAGA Republicans, Roe is just the beginning. They're going to try to ban the right to choose nationwide. They're coming for IVF and birth control next. We're up against extremism. Send me back to the White House and I'll fight like hell to restore Roe v. Wade and protect American freedom.
I believe you, Joe. Yes.
Here's what Donald Trump says.
Okay, hold on, Joe. We're coming back at you. Let's see. Fish Toads and Johnny Smith, the conservative. House SCOTUS. Let's see. That's a great ad. I want to go. Let's just check the headlines. Hold on. Oops. Why? Oh. See the head. Supreme Court to hear challenge to law banning transgender care for minors. The justices agreed to decide whether a Tennessee law that bans certain medical treatments for transgender minors violates the Constitution. Interesting. Yeah, the whole thing about introducing IVF, as a potential in the body autonomy. I mean, I understand it should be enough that women can access a safe abortion. That should be enough for anyone. But if it's not, then if that's how we get there, then that's how we get there. But I'm not happy about it. I'm not happy about it. In this presidential debate, CNN is the decider. That's right. We're the ones who are going to decide what happens. Woo. That's because they had to, because he cannot contain himself, which is why they had to have no audience. An illicit Hajj industry. President Biden attacks on. Oh, okay. Israel's defense minister holds talks in Washington on war's next phase. Really, is it a war or is it? It's kind of a one-sided war, isn't it? Because isn't one area the only one's dropping? Okay, never mind. Sorry, everybody. Yoav Gallant said his meetings with top U.S. officials would involve the Gaza war transition to a new stage. This is not. There's something really wrong about that. In San Francisco, doctors feud over do no harm when it comes to war protests. Doctors at the University of California say that the workplace they once loved has been fractured by the war in Gaza. I understand that. It's dividing. I watched some pretty disturbing footage from LA yesterday of groups outside a temple. It was pretty bad. And death toll attacks in southern Russia. Oh, this is right, Dagestan. Investigators called the attack on synagogues and Orthodox churches in Dagestan an act of terrorism, but it was not immediately clear who was responsible. Weird. Pilgrim deaths in Mecca put spotlight on underworld Hajj industry. More than 1,300 people died, and a Saudi official said most of them were not registered. That left them with little protection from the heat. So yeah, it was I think it's annual Hajj. The pilgrimage to Mecca, more than 1,300 people have died because of the heat. So heat's an issue. Heat wave expected to finally let up in many parts of the U.S. Midwestern town raced to strengthen their levee system as rising rivers led to daring rescues across 3 states. Yes, we've got a lot of flooding out there. AI is getting better fast. Can you tell what's real now? Test your skills in this quiz. Okay, AI. Well, does she have enough fingers? Check everybody's hands. Oh, shit. Is this celebrity photo shoot real or AI? I'm going to say real. Oh, we got it. You're right. This is a real image. Okay. Is this? This isn't. It's a genuine image, but it made me think it was either cropped or compressed. Oh, okay. What about these singers? That looks like AI. Oh, yeah. Some telltale signs of AI forgeries are found throughout the image. The girl has 4 visible fingers. The woman's right arm appears to disappear. Oh, yeah. That's Jessica Simpson. That's not just some woman. And I think that's Northwest. No, I'm just kidding. She's missing a finger. Okay. And these world leaders? Not AI. Oh, okay. These seem like a little easy. What about this interior? AI. I'm so good. I'm really good at this. Design elements that defy logic. No, that wasn't what I saw, but okay. How about this man covered in tattoos? No, that's a real person. That's a real person. Oh, whoops. Oh, yeah, that's what I meant. I meant not AI. God damn it. Sorry, I know. Okay. Is this a real family? Oh, no. No. Yeah, no. Come on now. Who has that many babies? Who? What about this movie still? That's AI. Come on now. 12 Angry Men. Not AI, but filtered. Oh, it is AI. Oh, okay. Well, it looks like it's filtered. Oh, it's the infamous scroll. The infamous scroll. Is this unusual scene AI? Probably not. Yeah. Performers and the Outsiders. Okay. What about President Biden here? Not AI. Oh, it's AI? Oh, man. I didn't look at the hands. And I was getting cocky. Though the resemblance, he would not be wearing military fatigues as a civilian. Okay, come on now. That's just... Damn it. Come on now. 7 out of 10. I got 70%. All right. Sorry. I know. That's not really. Okay. Unfortunately, I just heard my dog bark. So I'm going to take him for a quick little walkie walk. And let's see. I'll leave... Well, I'll put on maybe the lounge music. That would be nice. Where's the lounge music? Where is it? Here we go. Oops, no, that's not it. What's that? Hi, GP. Yeah, it's not getting better. Let's see. What's that? Oh, wait. Hold on. Stay with me. Don't leave me. Please don't leave me. Hold on. Hold on, puppy. I'm coming. I'm coming, puppy. Hold on. Okay. I'll be right back. I'm coming, puppy. let's get here. You did? Oh my God, GP, you're gonna love these games. You are gonna love the games that we have. Hold on, let me turn the lounge music off. I don't know if it was even playing, but we'll go from that. We'll think that it does. Okay, hold on. Let me find myself. I'm out of breath. No, just kidding. Woo. Okay, here we go. What do we got here? I reviewed some SCOTUS police dog cases years ago, among which, if search upheld, the dog is described by the name throughout, if not updated, upheld, not so much. Oh my gosh. Dog cases. I can't. Not getting better. Yeah. Damn. I'm going to do that again. Those games are fun. One's really pretty. It's like boxes. You keep opening. It's like puzzle boxes. And then the other one is, the other one's kind of good. It's like a story. I can't remember what it is now. Oh, Lorelei, Laser Eyes. Lorelei and the Laser Eyes or something like that. I don't know. I was disappointed with Apple for jumping on the AI bandwagon, but I suppose they felt that they had to. I mean, really. Yeah. They're not gonna miss a trick. Are you kidding me? Gone are the days when I thought they would be altruistic. I know, I like the story ones too. I like the story ones a lot. So this one seems interesting. I'm not really sure what's happening. I'm at a hotel and I'm trying to find my way inside the hotel. Well, no, I found my way inside the hotel. I can't remember where we left off. I don't know. I'm trying to find other things. So it's pretty cool. But the other one has really pretty graphics, so it's kind of fun to watch if it's like you just want to space out. All right, anyway, sorry. I had to cool down here for a minute. Hold on. Oh, my God. I don't even know. Oh, my God. I woke up like at 6:15 this morning, and my show's at 6:30. It suffice to say, it was a little bit of a rushed morning. But here we are. I still think I was on time. I don't think I was not on time. I think of Dr. Anesthesia Doofus. I think Dr. Anesthesia Doofus may be AI. What? Who is that? Who is that? Oh my God, I'm sweating so bad. Oh my God. Where's my tissue? Okay, there's one. Anyway, oh my God, I'm sorry. I'm just like, it's hot here. It's so hot. Why is it so hot? Summer? What's summer? Why? Why is it so hot? Anyway. Hold on. I think this is not right. I think this is, yeah. Come to me. Come to me. Come to me. All right. I do. I love story games. And I showed my cult. If you go to the end of that stream, GP, you'll be able to see. I gave a tour of my current cult in Cult of Lolo. Because I'm playing the game Cult of the Lamb, and mine is Cult of Lolo because you get to rename your cult. So, and I just got married for the 3rd time to one of my followers. That's right. And we're all very happy. So there. Okay. Yeah, check out my cult. It's at the end of the last stream. It's a little tour. I give you a little tour. All right, here's a Mother Jones piece shared by Gal with one of my favorite dudes, Johnny Eastman. Johnny. I'm looking for my Johnny. There was this song, is a Nigerian song. Actually, I think the woman has become like really famous. I can't remember now what her name is. Oh my God. I just saw a piece on the news on her and she's like really, her career's blowing up, which I'm really happy about. But one of her first songs was, I'm looking for my Johnny. Oh, okay. I can't remember the lines. Wait, let me see if I can play it. Now I'm obsessed. I'm sorry. Because when I was in Liberia, this song was really big. Wait. Oh, here. Oh, Yemi Alade. What to do? I'm looking for my Johnny. Anyway, that's Yemi Alade. She's amazing. She's got a great voice. But that was her early hit. Anyway, I don't know how we got there. Oh, John Eastman. That's how we got there. I'm looking for my Johnny. Okay. Fish Toads and John Eastman. Yeah, it's a great song. Oh my God. Highly recommend. Highly recommend her. And also Takun J. Takun, and then the initial J, who's a Liberian musician. He is the music style in Liberia. The pop music style is called hipco, which I know it's in other Western African countries, but that's their, that's what. And he's a big star in that, and he's really. I had a chance to hang out with him at his club and stuff because he did a lot around women and girls in Liberia, and was legit about it. Because there's a lot of people doing a lot of things around women and girls in West Africa. So not all of them are legitimate. Anyway, so he was a really cool dude. And actually, I have a video of us hanging out in his club because we would go at night, like as the club was closing, we would go hang out there because the woman I worked with was really good friends with him and had been for years. So we would go hang out and just sing. It was great. It was great. Smoked a lot of weed. Anyway, Takun J, another great artist from West Africa. Okay, John Eastman, let's read about your toads. John Eastman is a toad. I told you so. I told ya, John Eastman is a toad. I told ya. And how SCOTUS could help it come to fruition. What? Oh my God. Okay, let's make this a little bigger for everybody to see. I can see it, but I just want you guys to see it. That's not doing anything. Oh, there we go. There we go. All right. Oh, I'm sorry. I'm just really sweaty. A toad, little Mr. Toad, Mr. Toad's wild ride. Here we go. We're all on a wild ride now, kids. All right. Among the most consequential decisions in the hands of the Supreme Court this term is a pair of lawsuits involving herring fishermen. On the surface, the nearly identical cases are simple disputes about fishing regulations, but they also have the potential to completely rejigger how federal agencies mediate everything from food and agriculture to taxes and air pollution, because they call into question one of the legal field's most cited legal precedents, a 40-year-old doctrine called Chevron deference. Oh, is it deference? Yeah. Many conservatives have sought to kill the legal doctrine for over a decade, and within the chorus, one has sung with notable passion, John Eastman. That's the same John Eastman who, on January 6, 2021, stood at a podium in D.C. beside fellow Trump lawyer Rudy Giuliani and bellowed to an angry crowd that then Vice President Mike Pence ought to halt the peaceful transfer of power. About 3 hours later, rioters breached the Capitol. It was Eastman, documents show, who drafted the coup memos, which included a multi-step plan for Pence to hand the election to Trump and declare the vice president the ultimate arbiter of elections. Eastman is believed to be an unindicted co-conspirator in Trump's federal indictment. He is also he has also been disbarred in California. He declined to comment on either situation. Wah. Eastman has been part of a project to take down federal... Okay, but before getting sucked into the gravitational force that is Donald Trump, Eastman, 64, was the sort of conservative legal figure whose name one might forget. A law professor with a cushy job and a chairmanship at a practice group of the conservative legal organization, the Federalist Society. Like most academics, he had his obsessions. His writings, speeches, and media appearances over the last 40 years reveal a man who was constantly questioning federal authority in the administrative state. His writings suggest that he saw federal environmental laws as especially problematic. Applications of popular laws like Clean Water Act and Endangered Species Act, he's repeatedly argued, overstep the Constitution and the intentions of the country's framers, who would have largely left environmental regulation to the states. As Eastman put it in a Supreme Court amicus brief last July, unchecked federal agents... Well, okay, the drinking word today is amicus, okay? Can I just tell you? That's your drinking word for the day. You know what I mean. So, there, take it. Take it and run with it. Okay. He's repleted... As Eastman put it in a Supreme Court amicus brief last July, unchecked federal agencies pose a threat to the Constitution's design of separation of powers. In that brief, he argued the court to end the Chevron experiment. Gal, just in case anyone was wondering how Jeff Clark ended up in the DOJ Environmental Department, now you know. That's right. Here you go. That's right. And I think he, as a lawyer, he represented Exxon in the Exxon spill. So there you go. Yeah. Yeah, he's real special sauce. While Eastman's views on the environment are extreme, legal scholars tell me they aren't exactly rare. He epitomizes the type of anti-regulatory Federalist Society bred legal mind you can expect to see elevated by Trump. Eastman, quote, Eastman has been part of a project to take down federal regulation for a long time, Andy Mergen, a clinical professor of environmental law at Harvard Law School, told me, which is coming to fruition with these Chevron deference cases. With the most conservative makeup we've seen in decades, the Supreme Court is poised to deliver on that project. Oddly enough, the original 1984 case that inspired the Chevron deference, Chevron USA v. Natural Resources Defense Council, was widely seen as a victory for conservatives. At the heart of the case was a dispute over the Environmental Protection Agency's ability to define a stationary source of pollution. Could it be an entire coal factory, a single smokestack? The Reagan EPA interpreted the Clean Air Act in a way that favored corporations and limited curbing their power. Yeah, right. Don't trust this court. Sidney Powell was involved in that case as well. Oh, my God. Jesus. It's really a pretty small universe of big fuckers, right? Like, and notice how Ken Cheesebro is getting... He was the architect of the fake elector scheme. And notice how he's not in any courtroom. Any of them. And his participation, I think, has been milquetoast at best, at least so far. So, I don't know. Kenny, when are you going to give it up? What's the frequency, Kenneth? Okay. Answer the question. All right. Sorry. Potentially catastrophic. Yes, this is potentially catastrophic for federal regulations. Thanks, Oomph. That's the bottom line of the article we're reading is... This is a challenge to federal regulations, which we just went through that. You remember all the train derailments? Are we going to talk about those? I don't know. Yeah, I don't know. Let's see. Upon challenge, the Supreme Court not only agreed that the Reagan administration's reading of the law was reasonable, but it also instructed judges in future cases to generally defer to expert agencies' interpretations of the law when statutes, like the Clean Air Act, were vague. The ruling was meant to limit liberal judges from imposing, as Justice John Paul Stevens wrote at the time, their personal policy preferences in decision-making. Well, that's funny because that's what you're doing. I don't know. Hi, butterflies. How are you? Yeah, this is all part of the big step towards heritage. Did you see the Heritage president on the news yesterday? Did you see him on, he was on Face the Nation, I think. Yeah. You should watch it. I'll find it. I listened to one of your songs before this, Oomph. It had a Middle Eastern sound to it. It's great. I know. Oomph is experimenting with a lot of different genres. I think it's really cool. The whole album is out now. If you actually, I tweeted the link to the whole thread yesterday because Oomph has a thread on his sick pieces, and yeah, it was. Upon a challenge, the Supreme Court. Wait, what am I saying here? Through the Reagan and both Bush administrations, Chevron functioned as a tool for deregulation, like weakening Clean Air Act limits, explains David Doniger, a senior attorney and strategist at the National Resources Defense Council, NRDC, who argued the original case before the Supreme Court. On the flip side, he says, under Clinton and Obama, Chevron provided more leeway to enact tougher industry oversight. Bum, bum, bum. Okay. As Chevron entered the political arena, so did Eastman. In 1984, he was fresh out of college, graduating cum laude with a bachelor's in politics and economies from the University of Dallas, and according to his resume, served as a volunteer for Reagan's 1980 and 1984 campaigns. He went on to get his Ph.D. at Claremont Graduate School just outside of Los Angeles, with a focus in politics and constitutional law, before heading off to law school at the University of Chicago. His dissertation advisor, William B. Allen, described Eastman over email as, quote, an industrious and consistent student who developed his interest in the American founding as an undergraduate. I'm telling you, he's a true believer who wants to be proven that right, like he can own the whatever. Did not look, I differ with everybody in evaluating that guy. He's distressingly stupid. Do you mean Eastman? Do you mean Eastman is stupid? I think he's stupid too. I think he's an egotistical, like he's blinded by ego. You just have to listen to a couple of interviews. He did a 3-part series with Tom Klingenstein. Klingenstein. I always get his name wrong. From the Claremont Institute. Duduk is Armenian. I don't understand that. Oh, thanks, GP. Had watched. Did not look. I knew. Had watched some musicologist complain about Duduk and is that Phrygian? I've heard I've seen that word, but I don't really know how to Phrygian mode for Arabness in soundtracks and video games. So I asked for Duduk. Makes sense. Complaint partial. Duduk is Armenian. Oh. Gee, no, the heritage idiot. Oh, the heritage idiot. Did not look. Oh yeah, no, he's stupid. Oh yeah, no, there's no limit of stupid. Yeah, it was actually a good 3-part series just to understand a little bit more about what drives John Eastman, and really it's ego. I mean, I can cut to the chase for you. I love the Middle Eastern music, and it's beautiful. Yeah, it's fun to see all the genres. Like, I just think it's a cool project. I really dig it. Let's see. In grad school, Eastman began expressing a deep-rooted suspicion of federal power. In his 1993 doctoral dissertation, he argued that free public education funded by a national government was at odds with what founders like Thomas Jefferson, who he wrote favored smaller units of government, would have wanted for the country. Sweeping national education schemes, he concluded, quote, have begun to erode the capacity of the American people to govern themselves. How is that possible? Okay, how is an uneducated public good for a country? That's dumb. That's fucking dumb. In 1989, he returned to the University of Dallas to deliver a Constitution Day celebration address. During the speech, he claimed that Congress, which at the time was expected to pass the Americans with Disabilities Act, was out of control, according to a transcript published in the student paper shortly after. The new law, he argued, could force libraries to close the stacks for everyone because books would be out of reach for people in wheelchairs, or force the YMCA to provide swimming lessons to, quote, people with handicaps. That's his quote, including, presumably, quadriplegics. This civil rights socialism raised the question, Eastman told the audience, how are we going to reclaim a constitution that has been rendered null and void? That was a quote. When reached by email, Eastman declined to respond to a list of questions about his views and suggested I, quote, read the Constitution before casting aspersions on those who seek to uphold it. Oh my God. I really want him to just like, boom. Fall over. I want you to fall over, mister. Okay. By the time Eastman started clerking for J. Michael Luttig on the U.S. Court of Appeals for the Fourth Circuit in 1995, his conservative views on the Constitution were well formed, according to reporting by the Washington Post. About a year later, he landed a clerkship with Supreme Court Justice Clarence Thomas, a friend he'd reportedly known for years and whose views often aligned with his own, as he told the Post, quote, I thought, given his background, that his career and his jurisprudence would be more in line with the original understanding of the founding than anybody else's. Yeah, that's what he thought about Clarence Thomas. His background. What, that he had to fight sexual harassment abuse allegations? Faria Faraji. Oh, awesome. Thank you for that. Ooms dropped a music link in the, a really good music link in the chat. That musicologist's point is that we're consuming misrepresentations and stereotypes. That's really good. I love that. I like the deeper dive. Because I'm challenged by that as well. I make too many assumptions and I know I'm not informed about different genres. So that's really cool. Thank you for that link. Let's see here. In the 80s, the Post reports, Thomas sought education in originalism from the Claremont Institute, a conservative think tank backed by groups like the Dick and Betsy DeVos Family Foundation and the Bradley Foundation, where Eastman had served as a research associate. Now, wait, I just saw something about the Bradley Foundation. I guess it was funding America's project. That's what I was looking at that. Okay, never mind. Where Eastman had served as a research associate and would later return as a senior fellow. I need a little sip of coffee. American big tech is privatizing public education in parts of Africa. Yes. Yes. There are a lot. Well, and let me say this. Actually, GP, that's a little more complicated. So public-private partnerships in Africa, while I think that there is definitely issues with importing education, I actually believe there's a place where education experts, shall we say, can assist in developing systems, right? So, for example, my situation was working in Liberia. I actually worked directly with the Minister of Education in Liberia on projects that he wanted to do to expand education out into the bush and improve it and stuff like that. So I know a lot about like the inner workings of West African kind of education systems. And I agree that there's too many white people, right? I agree with all of that. I think there must be a way to take the best of what education, pedagogy, right? So pedagogical learning, and how to actually teach someone something. I think there's a way to use the data that's been, extracted and analyzed, and that information to help developing nations with their education system. You know what I mean? So I can see a place for public-private partnerships is what I'm trying to say. I can see a place where certain foundations are good at impacting areas and bringing more education to the ground. What I encountered when I went to Liberia and worked with the school system is because of, there is a lot of corruption in government in many African countries, and Liberia is no different, right? And I mean corruption in the way that the system has not been designed for accountability, right? There's very little accountability for funding and execution, right? So I think it's a more complicated conversation in terms of what is the right way to deliver resources to other countries. Exactly. Yeah. Yeah. Right. Yeah. And to, I don't know, there's a lot. We could have a whole conversation about education in developing parts of the world. And I'm not an expert by any stretch of the imagination. I don't consider myself to be an expert. Let me just be really clear about that. I just speak from the experiences that I had and what I learned from them. And that's it. That's really all I can say. But I did have a chance to work closely with the Minister of Education. He didn't like me. He didn't like me because he was really interested in like painting chairs and painting buildings and, like looking like there's a school in a village. And I'm like, that's great. But I also learned a lot from him about in his country, how people were going to accept things, right? Like how he said, you don't understand, like people want to see something and then they can start to get behind what's happening inside the building. You know what I mean? So I learned a lot and I listened, and that's what we need to do. We need to listen. And I actually don't believe that you need certainly any, I don't think we need to send a bunch of white people into Africa. Okay. I actually reject that notion. I myself feel that, while I'm proud of the work that I did to get the Liberian staff on the ground at that school, able to run their finances and run their logistics, and help them just formalize the infrastructure, which was the job that I had. It was time then for me to get the fuck out. And you know what I mean? So it's okay to like help, but you are not the answer. I wasn't the answer. I was just helping with some of the mechanics. You know what I mean? So I guess that's I don't know. There's a whole thing about that. But I wouldn't necessarily advocate that a bunch of white people need to go in and actually do things, or that it needs to be Western schools, or something like that. So I don't know. It's complicated though. And meanwhile, kids are, hopefully getting an education. Senior fellow sounds like patronizing way to say old guy. Yeah, what does it take to be a fellow? That's what I want to know. The Bradley Foundation. I knew it was important. Oh, thank you, Gal. You have a thread on that. Good. Max, in Zaire, people had to bribe the teachers to get their grades. Yeah. A lot happens. And it's really around, there's not a lot of accountability structures. That's really it. And it's not necessarily something, like, I don't know. It's not really for me to say. I can tell you my observations, but I'm not the person to fix anything of that. I'm going to finish this and then I want to go to the Bradley Foundation. Let's see. No. But if there's an origin to Eastman's foray into environmental law, it'd be his work with one unlucky amphibian, the southwestern arroyo toad. In the early 2000s, representing housing developers, Eastman led a challenge to the toad's listing under the Federal Endangered Species Act. In the D.C. District Court, Eastman challenged not just the listing, but the law itself, arguing that the federal government has no authority under the Commerce Clause to regulate critters that are confined to one state. He lost the case and the appeal, but he would get one small victory. Then Judge John Roberts, dissenting from the D.C. Court of Appeals, famously referred to the amphibian as a hapless toad that, for reasons of its own, lives its entire life in California, suggesting that he sympathized with Eastman's argument. Oh my God. Pointing to this line, Democrats questioned Roberts on his support for the ESA during his confirmation hearings a few years later. Quote, a lot of people in the environmental community, everyone knows that line about the hapless toad, everyone knows that line about the hapless toad, Harvard's Andy Mergen told me. That wasn't the only time. There's the little baby toad. This wasn't the only time Eastman saw the tyranny of the feds embodied in an animal. In 2010, he ran for California Attorney General. At a campaign event, he took on the Delta smelt, a tiny endangered fish, arguing that the federal government's efforts to regulate the creature exceeds their constitutional authority under the Commerce Clause. He's also made a similar argument against a controversial suckerfish in Klamath Falls, Oregon, that interfered with farming activity in the region. And a baby toad. Eastman's Attorney General campaign shed some light on his views on science. According to an archived version of its Facebook page, in 2012, his campaign shared a YouTube video claiming, quote, global warming is a fraud from a now defunct conspiracy theory account. Eastman did not respond to a request for comment about this video or his views on climate change. Hi, Mindy. Eastman lost the primary with about a third of Republican votes. Then San Francisco District Attorney Kamala Harris, a Democrat, would go on to win the seat. A decade later, in 2020, Eastman would pen an infamous Newsweek op-ed questioning whether Harris was eligible to be vice president because, as the daughter of immigrants, he argued, she may not qualify to be a natural-born citizen. Oh my God. The argument was widely discredited by the legal field, but nevertheless put Eastman on Trump's radar, according to reporting by the New York Times. By the 2010s, Eastman had been a law professor at Chapman University for more than a decade, with a term as dean of the law school under his belt. Colleagues remember him as being generally well-respected and liked by students. He pushed to raise the law school's rankings, which broke the U.S. News World Report in top 100 in 2010. He also once starred in what appears to be a 2012 University Theater production as founder John Adams. Oh, my God. Around that time, Chevron began to fall out of fashion among conservatives like the late Justice Antonin Scalia and Justice Clarence Thomas, who had in previous legal writings voiced support for the doctrine. As Scott Nelson, a lawyer with Public Citizen, a consumer advocacy group, explains, this had everything to do with the Obama administration. Quote, I think in practice what conservatives realized, and I think the Obama administration helped them realize it, was they were never really big fans of an activist administrative state or broad delegations of authority by Congress to agencies. In 2015, at a Federalist Society panel on judicial deference moderated by then D.C. Judge Brett Kavanaugh, Eastman railed against, quote, administrative overreach by the Obama administration on everything from major immigration policy changes to renaming Mount McKinley to Mount Denali in Alaska. All of these things are being done by agencies with barely a pretextual read of authority in any statute. Wah, wah. Barron Trump's high school is owned by the Koch brothers. That might be true, Jim. Of course, he graduated, so it doesn't really matter now. 4 years later, Eastman doubled down on his case against Chevron. In 2019, a Federalist Society luncheon panel titled Revisiting Judicial Deference, Eastman joined a group of academics and lawyers, including Roman Martinez, one of the Charles Koch-linked lawyers who kicked off opening arguments for a Chevron case in January. During the panel, Eastman claimed that deference to agencies allowed the Obama administration to, without Congress's explicit approval, support abortion under the Affordable Care Act and require schools to allow transgender students to use the bathrooms of their choice. Quote, when I say they are making law in direct violation of the separation of powers, Eastman argued, that's the way it works on the ground. According to the Obama administration, gender identity was protected under Title IX, and the policy was meant to ensure students could learn in an environment, quote, free from discrimination, harassment, and violence. To Mergen, these sorts of meetings are at the heart of the conservative project that Eastman is a part of. It's all about getting like-minded folks and often having conservative judges in the room talking through this agenda. That's all. Eastman's arguments aren't just theoretical. In the last 20-plus years as a senior fellow at the Claremont Institute, he's filed hundreds of legal briefs. Several of these were for some of the biggest environmental cases to see the Supreme Court. So he must have known Jeffrey Clark, right? They're both environmental lawyers? Can't remember where they met. Now I can't remember. It's all everybody's getting too confusing. He weighed in on 2023's Sackett v. EPA, a case challenging the federal government's authority to regulate wetlands under the Clean Water Act. In his brief, co-authored with fellow Claremont Institute attorney Anthony Caiso, the two argued that the EPA and Army Corps of Engineers have pulled off a naked power grab, overstepping Congress, the courts, and local governments. This was accomplished because decades ago, this court deferred to the agency's interpretation of the Clean Water Act pursuant to the court's troubled Chevron deference doctrine, they wrote. The Supreme Court's, why? I thought that was a good thing. Why would they? I don't get that. That's troubled? I thought they would, never mind. Okay. I'll just keep reading. The Supreme Court's Sackett decision, while it didn't overturn Chevron, effectively cut the amount of protected wetlands in the U.S. by half, as much as an estimated 90 million acres. To scientists, this was a disaster. It's the worst thing that's happened in my conservation life, a plant biologist in North Carolina told me last year. That's because wetlands are ecological powerhouses. According to the National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration, they supply more than half the country's seafood, can soak up 1.5 million gallons of floodwater per acre, and absorb 8.1 million tons of carbon dioxide per year. Many environmental lawyers see the preservation of rivers, lakes, forests, and the air, which cross state lines, an issue of inherently federal concern. We can't address clean air and clean water and the preservation of endangered and threatened and migratory species without the power of the federal government, Mergen says. Duh. But in their concurring opinion, Justices Thomas and Neil Gorsuch point to the environmental law as a quintessential example of the wide deviation from what the Constitution's writers intended. The opinion directly cited Eastman and Caso's amicus brief. To Mergen, the opinion put a target on statutes like the Endangered Species Act, which operate under Congress's authority to regulate interstate commerce. Under Eastman's view of the law, UC Berkeley environmental lawyer Dan Farber told me over email, quote, much of federal environmental law would be unconstitutional. In July 2023, hot off their Sackett victory, Eastman and Caso filed another brief attacking Chevron, this time in Loper Bright Enterprises, the first of the Chevron pair to be considered by the court. In essence, the case is a challenge to a 2020 rule issued by the National Marine Fisheries Service requiring herring fishermen to pay for observers on their boats, a measure intended to prevent overfishing, and would cost the fishers about $700 per day. But the plaintiffs didn't just challenge one regulation. They also asked the court to reconsider the agency's entire authority to interpret the law, and by extension, overturn Chevron. I don't really understand that, but I'd read it again to understand it. In their brief, Eastman and Caso hit the same note. They've been harmonizing for years. Interpretation of legal texts, they wrote, is a job for the courts, not federal agencies. It likely didn't take long to tee up the brief. Years before, in 2021, Caso had authored a document published in the Chapman Law Review, conspicuously titled Attacking Chevron, a Guide for Practitioners. Yeah. Laying out the very argument they put before the court. The purpose of this article, Caso wrote, is to give advocates a foundation in the arguments that can be made to attack deference and ultimately overturn Chevron. In January, as oral arguments began in the Chevron cases, Eastman was in the midst of a legal defense of his own. As a result of his coup-adjacent efforts, well, quite adjacent, he is facing criminal charges in Georgia and Arizona, and in January 2021 agreed to retire from his job at Chapman University. After more than 140 of his colleagues signed a letter calling for his firing. In March, California State Bar judge recommended Eastman be disbarred, and he has indeed been disbarred. But not before he had a chance to weigh in on what could be one of the most far-reaching legal decisions in decades. It's difficult to overstate just how impactful a ruling to overturn Chevron would be. In the last 40 years, as former DOJ environmental lawyer Sean Donahue explains, executive agencies have used their authority under Chevron to interpret all sorts of complex statutes, from the Social Security Act to the Clean Air Act to the Food and Drug and Cosmetic Act. If the Supreme Court overturns the doctrine, hundreds of agency regulations could be up for relitigation. That's it. The bottom line. It's, quote, potentially... Who's calling me? Oh, I know. I know who's calling me. I can't answer right now. Let's see. It's potentially a recipe for massive damage to the administrative agency's ability to do their job, Donahue says. But for conservatives like Eastman, that's precisely the goal. Quote, Chevron is only one aspect of it, NRDC's Doniger said. It's all part of a broader plan of enfeebling the power of the federal government. Eastman's role in it offers an indication of where the country might be headed under a second Trump term. Quote, Eastman very much epitomizes the view of the people that Trump is going to bring into office, Mergen says. It's going to be a diminished role for the federal government, which, he adds, is really terrifying for the environment. Thank you for that, gal. That was good. Let's see. I want to see this. There's a thread for that. I have a little thread. Is it all of this? Oh, is this the Influence Watch? This is the Bradley Foundation. Expose. Oh, here we go. May 5th, 2017. Weaponized Philanthropy. Document trove details Bradley Foundation's effort to build right-wing infrastructure nationwide. What? Wah, wah, wah. Center for Media and Democracy. Yeah. I want to read this, actually. Let me say hi to everybody in the chat. Peak oil production has reached record levels under Biden despite climate policies. Yeah, I don't think we've done a great job on that. But it's certainly been an uphill battle. We've got to do better. There's no doubt. There's so many places we need to do better, GP. But we certainly have a chance to do better under Biden, not with the other guy. Not with the other guy, that's for sure. But yeah. All right, this is about the Bradley Foundation. It's an article shared by Gal. Documents examined by the Center for Media and Democracy expose a national effort funded by the Milwaukee-based Lyndon Harry Bradley Foundation to assess and expand right-wing infrastructure to influence policies and politicians in state houses nationwide. The documents were made public in October 2016 on 2 Twitter accounts that cybersecurity analysts have linked to one of the Russian hackers alleged to have breached the Democratic National Committee. The Bradley Foundation confirmed in a statement that the hack had taken place and then was reported to the FBI. More information about how the Bradley files became public is available here. The documents open a window to the behind-the-scenes workings of one of America's largest right-wing foundations. With $835 million in assets as of June 2016, the Bradley Foundation is as large as the 3 Koch family foundations combined, yet receives much less attention as a significant funder of the right. CMD, which is the Center for Media and Democracy, has examined thousands of these documents, including Bradley board documents between 2012 and 2013 and 2016. The documents indicate that Bradley had a new stream of funding. I gotta make this a little bigger. No? Okay. Oh, I see. It's because it doesn't know what screen I'm on. I don't even know what screen you're on, lady. Nobody knows. Oh, man, that's so dumb. Okay. Boop, 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 boop. The documents, okay, we did that. Womp, womp, womp. The documents indicate that Bradley has a new stream of funding to build this conservative infrastructure and is using a metric to assess the strength and depth of that infrastructure in individual states, including receptive politicians, right-wing think tanks, symbiotic grassroots groups, friendly media, litigation centers, and opposition research to guide Bradley's strategic funding initiatives. Wow, that's a terrible, terrible strategy. Bradley ranks states into 4 tiers of investment opportunities and prioritizes funding the top-tier states. A recreation of Bradley's master chart listing all U.S. states and scoring their infrastructure needs can be found here and below. The documents also reveal that Bradley is bankrolling groups across the nation, $830 million, bigger than the 3 Koch family foundations combined. That's something. The documents also reveal that Bradley is bankrolling groups across the nation that are working to defund and dismantle unions. The political nature of this attack is underscored by Bradley grantees who boast in major newspapers and in Bradley-funded publications like the Daily Signal that the evisceration of public and private sector unions in states like Wisconsin and Michigan was successful in turning blue states red in the last presidential election cycle. So they fund the Daily Signal. All right, good to know. Bradley describes its goal as advancing conservatism, but the files link receptivity to conservative policy reform to unified control of governorships, legislatures, and state Supreme Courts by the Republican Party. A Bradley video geared toward enticing other funders to join the cause puts it more bluntly, quote, "Together we can help keep our Great Lakes blue and our states red." Oh, that's so funny. The Bradley Foundation, organized as a tax-exempt charitable foundation under 501c3 of the tax code, it appears to be pursuing a highly partisan game plan, funding an infrastructure on the right that benefits the Republican Party while at the same time attempting to crush supporters of the Democratic Party. The trial attorneys and big labor are the two principal funding pillars of the left, the Bradley documents claim on multiple occasions. Regarding the Bradley Foundation's efforts to defund and dismantle unions, Marcus Owen, who served as the director of the Exempt Organizations Division of the Internal Revenue Service for 10 years, told the Center for Media and Democracy, quote, "There is no basis for the proposition that defunding labor unions is a charitable purpose within the Internal Revenue Code." Well, then what is taking you guys so fucking long to figure it out? Why does this happen? Why can't we follow up on the obvious ones? Why? Okay. The documents reveal that a key Bradley partner in this effort is discredited Berman and Company public relations firms and the many front groups it has spawned. Berman and Company is run by Richard Berman, an aggressive propagator. I've got hair in my mouth. An aggressive propagator of industry spin and disinformation, profiled by 60 Minutes as a hired gun for corporate America. Berman is best known for propping up propagandistic websites and launching public relations and social media campaigns to smear nonprofit environmental, workers' rights, consumer, and animal welfare organizations. The Center for Media and Democracy has specifically been targeted by Berman over the years. Representing clients in the restaurant industry, Berman has long campaigned against any rise in the minimum wage or tipped minimum wage, which has stood at $2.13 for 30 years. 30 years. Yeah, it's complete anti-union, GP. You're absolutely right. He has battled efforts at the state and federal level that make joining a union easier. He has attacked organization workers and their leaders and has been a primary opponent of labor-backed campaigns to raise the minimum wage. The documents reveal that Bradley is funding a new Berman project called the Interstate Policy Alliance to target its strategic infrastructure investments as a discrete channel for cookie-cutter reports for member groups to publish to maximize credibility and to train Bradley-funded groups in crisis communication and opposition research. Bradley cites the case of the American Legislative Exchange Council, ALEC, which was, quote, caught flat-footed, the documents say, after the Center for Media and Democracy published ALEC's secret library of model bills voted on behind closed doors with corporate lobbyists and launched ALEC Exposed in 2011. The documents show that Bradley has funded ALEC to aid with proactive reputation management, and the larger plan includes aggressive opposition research. Bradley wants Berman to develop an off-the-shelf public relations strategy for conservative outfits caught in the media crosshairs. The key to success, the documents say, is well-sourced opposition research, already prepared and ready to deploy against opponents. Berman engages in aggressive PR campaigns attacking teachers' unions, a significant opponent of Bradley's long-term agenda to advance taxpayer vouchers for private and religious schools, while other Bradley-funded institutions are funded to defund teachers' unions and achieve real education reform. That's a quote. Wow. Bradley is so anxious to silence the organized voice of public school teachers, it has pumped $1.77 million into a substitute, the Association of American Educators Foundation. The NEA and the AFT have already been substantially weakened by Wisconsin Act 10. AAF thinks it is well positioned to help further weaken the unions and their political goals, say the documents. While I have not seen all the documents, this is a quote, while I have not seen all of the documents, this appears to be more evidence that a few powerful private foundations are weaponizing philanthropy for their own private political purposes. The government gives charitable foundations tax breaks in exchange for furthering the public good. Instead, it sounds as if the Bradley Foundation has been furthering the good of its own political agenda. It really begs some serious legal questions, said author Jane Meyer. Over the coming week, CMD will roll out a series of articles based on the analysis of the Bradley documents, including articles focused on Bradley's ties to Richard Berman, Bradley's efforts to defund the left and dismantle labor unions, Bradley's funding of the state policy network of think tanks, and Bradley's aggressive litigation strategy. Let me check in with the chat. Perfect. The Bradley brothers, Lynn and Harry, started the foundation in 1942 to aid needy families in Milwaukee. Their wealth came from the Allen Bradley Company, which developed early resistors for electrical products. From its earliest days, the company was relying on government contracts for its wealth. World War I government contracts boosted sales to unprecedented levels, the company's official history states, and the same occurred when the United States entered World War II. Harry Bradley was the long-serving chairman of the Allen Bradley Company in Milwaukee after the death of his brother. Like Fred Koch, whatever his name is, he was a big supporter of the John Birch Society. There they are. hosting its founder, Robert Welch, at company meetings. The Birchers' opposition to the civil rights movement and their hysteria over the supposed communist menace kept them on the fringe of public discourse for many decades. Well, apparently, it didn't matter how much on the fringe of public discourse they remained because they've influenced each and every one of these motherfuckers. Okay, so let's not act like, oh, you know, ooh, ooh, ooh. But there is nothing like money to make fringe far-right ideas appear more respectable. In 1985, the company was bought by defense contractor Rockwell International. The foundation's assets zoomed from $14 million to $290 million after the sale of Allen Bradley to Rockwell for $1.65 billion. Flush with cash, Bradley hired Michael Joyce from the right-wing Olin Foundation to run its operations and engage in what Joyce called the War of Ideas. Joyce had a long history in Republican politics at the highest levels. Quote, Joyce was on the Reagan transition team in 1980, advised President Bush and his father, and in 1993 helped establish the Project for the Republican Future, which developed strategies to help the GOP recapture the Congress and the presidency, wrote the Washington Post upon his death in 2006. Joyce used Bradley's money and influence to pass the nation's first school voucher program for Milwaukee into law in 1991. He bankrolled the lawsuits that expanded taxpayer vouchers to religious schools in 1998. From 2002 to 2016, prominent Republican attorney Michael Grebe took over as CEO and president of the foundation. I guess it's Grebe or Grebe, I don't know. Grebe's Republican credentials were also impressive. He was the former general counsel to the Republican National Committee from 1996 to 2000 and the Republican National Committeeman for Wisconsin from 1984 to 2002. He chaired Scott Walker's campaign for governor not only in 2010 but also in 2012 during the hotly contested recall campaign and again for his re-election in 2014. Grebe signed on again as campaign chairman for Walker's aborted run for the White House in 2015. His decision to head a major foundation and be intimately involved in a Republican campaign was highly unusual. Why would that be highly unusual? But it was exactly the kind of hands-on political impact Joyce had sought when he set out to weaponize conservative philanthropy, wrote Jane Meyer in her 2016 book Dark Money, The Hidden History of Billionaires Behind the Rise of the Radical Right. When asked about his political activities by the Milwaukee Journal-Sentinel, Grebe said, I'm very careful here. I don't use foundation resources for any of my outside activities. I have a separate email address I use for politics. I do my political and civic work on my own time. Yet, after grant after grant displays the electoral underbelly of the right-wing infrastructure the foundation has worked so hard to construct. Just two examples raise significant red flags. Training Republican candidates and operatives. Bradley funds conservative groups that operate a lot like political parties themselves. Bradley has given large grants to a little-known group called the American Majority, contributing $1.8 million between 2010 and 2016. And $220,000 was recommended for Wisconsin in 2016. Bradley also funded a group called Media Trackers, both when it operated under the auspices of American Majority and later when it incorporated as a 501c3 called Greenhouse Solutions. The group got considerable in-state pickup on quick-hit videos and pieces aimed at what it says are errors, hypocrisy, or offensive behavior by labor unions and their Democratic allies, wrote Politico. As the 2014 election cycle approached, Bradley gave Media Trackers $100,000 to hire 2 camera crews whose daily work will be to follow candidates in their travels around the state. Predictably, Media Trackers produced a series of hits exclusively on Democratic candidates, including AG candidate Susan Happ, Congresswoman Gwen Moore, and gubernatorial candidate Mary Burke. For Burke, a Media Trackers videographer went around asking Democrats if a candidate who offshored jobs was right for Wisconsin. American Majority was founded by the sons of Rep. Jim Runn from Kansas, specifically for the purpose of training people to run for office. Today's county commissioner, tomorrow's congressman. You've got to feed the system, said Ned Runn, Jim Runn's son, at the time. Wisconsin dark money man Eric O'Keefe took credit for helping create American Majority when working with his Sam Adams alliance. In documents listing matching grants, Republican industrialist Bar Seed is listed as an anonymous source of additional funds for American Majority, $2.1 million in 2011 alone. American Majority says on its website that it's trained 38,000 people. The Bradley files describe its electoral activities in Wisconsin. This is a quote, American Majority's purpose is to train citizens and grassroots activists in the rules and methods necessary to run a successful political campaign. American Majority has trained 3,853 pro-freedom individuals at more than 100 training events. 208 trained candidates have run for state or local office. 181 advanced out of their primaries into the general election, and 104 went on to win their elections. These include state legislators, 45 county board supervisors, 27 municipal office holders, 22 school board members, and 5 judges, and a partridge in a pear tree. In the spring 2014 election, American Majority trained new leaders flipped the Menominee Falls Village Board and Kenosha School Board. In its IRS filings, the group identifies itself as nonpartisan. But the institute was set up by Republicans to train Republicans, so really, it's pretty partisan. The Bradley Foundation's limitless resources finance the Republican Party of Wisconsin's shadow campaign operation at all levels, said Scott Ross, executive director of One Wisconsin Now, which has long tracked the activities of the Bradley Foundation, especially in the education area. Campaign schools have been tried before. In 1986, the National Republican Campaign Committee set up a school to train people for careers as campaign managers, communications directors, finance directors, and other political campaign professionals. They argued that the school offered broad benefits to American society and sought to make the school a 501c3 tax-exempt charitable organization. A U.S. tax court took a look at the situation and told them they could not. A school operating for the private benefit of the Republican Party was not a charity, ruled the court. CMD talked to former IRS official Marcus Owens about these grants and Bradley's infrastructure investments. Quote, in the American Campaign Academy v. Commissioner case, the tax court held that an organization that offered educational classes on election law and similar subjects for campaign workers, but which was focused on supporting the candidates of one particular political party, was operated for the private benefit of the political party in question and thus not entitled to tax-exempt status under 501c3. Meh, said Owens. So there, meh. And then he did that. Meh. Bradley Infrastructure and the Mysterious Barter Fund. When discussing the foundation's grant-making, Bradley staff embraced the concept of infrastructure in an overt manner and even assesses the growth of its infrastructure over time using charts and metrics. Board documents review the early roots of infrastructure grant-making. Quote, in effectuating its mission by necessity, Brantley's grant-making program has always expressed the importance of what's now being called infrastructure. Historically, Bradley used to be known and was lauded for providing ongoing general operating support to the national think tanks that laid out the foundation for and then helped sustain the conservative ascendance beginning in the 1980s. Similarly, in Wisconsin, where there were receptive policymakers, Bradley's creation of the Wisconsin Policy Research Institute in 1987 helped pave the way for innovative Milwaukee Parental Choice Program in 1990 and 1995's also innovative, used twice in the same sentence, W2 Wisconsin Works welfare replacement, which itself paved the way for national welfare reform the next year. Milwaukee and Wisconsin, the foundation board well-sized playing fields on which to score policy victories. Yeah. Bradley goes on to discuss the creation of grassroots organizations that argued for and defended the reforms in public discourse, the funding of public interest legal groups that argued for and defended the programs in court, and investigative journalism that doesn't rely on old or new organs of the left and is able to stand on its own. Bradley also supports national capacity building resources to aid the infrastructure in the states. Bradley files contain at least a list of 20 Bradley-funded national organizations that have supported state-based infrastructure. These include America's Future Foundation, ALEC, American Transparency, Americans for Prosperity Foundation, Americans for Tax Reform. Isn't that Grover Norquist? I think one of those is, if not both of them, is Grover Norquist. Center for Consumer Freedom, Employment Policies Institute, Interstate Policy Alliance, Foundation for Government. These all seem like nothing to do with the public good. Freedom Works Foundation, Illinois Policy Institute, Leadership Program of the Rockies. That's a bad one. I remember Gal shared some Leadership Program of the Rockies speeches by, Ginny Thomas, I think? Is that who we were? Or maybe that's when we were looking at, I can't remember his name. Oh, well, doesn't matter. Why am I worried? Okay, so there's all the ones that they filed. Think Freely Media. The Bradley files reveal that the foundation received a new infusion of funds in 2013 that it directed towards its infrastructure investments. In 2013, the Caroline Bradley Trust transferred $203 million to the Bradley Foundation. Board documents indicate that in February 2014, the full board of directors met for a strategic planning discussion to address several questions concerning how to best deploy the unrestricted new endowment funds given to the Bradley Foundation by the Carolyn Bradley Trust upon Sarah Barter's death. Carolyn Bradley was Lynn Bradley's wife. Sarah Barter was her adopted daughter, the documents explain. Bradley's new Barter Fund was created at this meeting, and it was decided that the money would be deployed in 5 areas: K-12, higher education, public discourse, and arts and culture. In the past, Sarah had funded merit-based scholarships for kids attending exclusive boarding schools and colleges, a somewhat typical charitable endeavor. By November 11, 2014, a 6th area of focus for the Barter Fund was added: capacity building. Included in the board meeting packet for this date was a request for proposals to build the capacity of conservative infrastructures in the states. It is notable that there is no publicly available information about the Barter Fund on the Bradley website, and not all Barter Fund grants are listed on the Bradley's 2015 annual report. Yet the bulk of these funds are being used for a highly political project that largely benefits one party, the Republican Party. Metrics. To guide the Barter Fund giving, the Bradley files examined by CMD reveal a detailed effort to assess, map, and chart the density of each state's right-wing infrastructure using a number of metrics. A graph in the Barter board file shows that only 28% of Bradley straight in... Okay. Come on, girl. A graph in the Barter board file shows that only 28% of Bradley's state infrastructure grant making went out of state in 2011. By 2013, that number had grown to 56%. One document describes an internal study and chart, quantitative evaluation of state infrastructures by selected characteristics, that evaluates the quality and promise of each state's right-wing organization's makeup. I just kind of want to look at this. Oh yeah, I'm going to have to look at that later. Okay. Easy viewing. What? States are rated based on what was learned from interviews with 54 key people in the conservative movement, including notables such as Arizona Supreme Court Justice Clint Bolick, Grover Norquist, there you go, Americans for Tax Reform, Trump EPA Administrator Scott Pruitt, then Attorney General of Oklahoma, as well as Sarah Longwell and Michael Saltzman of the PR firm Berman and Company. There they go. A sidebar in a Bradley document lists 8 characteristics of successful state infrastructure, including respected and dynamic leadership, quality think tanks, investigative journalism, opposition research, legal component, later referred to as litigation centers, oh my God, receptive policymakers, symbiotic relationship with grassroots groups, and committed local funding support. To evaluate states, each of these is given a score of 1 to 5. Okay, well, we're not going to go through all that. On its chart of all states, Wisconsin and Michigan scored the highest, 39 on Bradley's infrastructure scale of 40. Bernie Sanders' Vermont was at the bottom with a score of 8. Liberal Hawaii scored a 9. These documents indicate Bradley was considering deepening investments in Colorado, Missouri, Pennsylvania, Ohio, Maryland, Georgia, Maryland, Virginia, and California in that order. Colorado was a top priority because, quote, Colorado is an important swing state with a broad base of center-right organizations and donors, writes Bradley. Bradley's goal was to beef up strategic investments in top-tier states and replicate the success of its investments in Wisconsin. Let me just go through this. Receptive policy. Okay, American majority. Think tanks. Bradley funds the McIver Institute and the Wisconsin Policy Research Institute. The State Policy Network think tanks work closely with ALEC legislators on model bills, including recently on ALEC's private sector union busting legislation, ALEC's rolled back of prevailing wages, and more. Grassroots to back favored funds the discredited True the Vote. They gave money to True the Vote. Nice. They gave $1.3 million to the Koch's American for Prosperity Foundation. So we're just sharing money now. Let's see. And a field office. Although the group claims its efforts are entirely educational, 9 Americans for Prosperity field offices in Wisconsin knocked on doors and handed out literature benefiting GOP candidates like U.S. Senator Ronnie Johnson. Litigation centers. Bradley saw a need for better litigation infrastructure in Wisconsin, so it poured money into the Wisconsin Institute for Law and Liberty to defend its favored policy proposals. Wow. I don't know. I'm sure they met the IRS code, but it just seems like they do a lot. They have a lot of things going on for just a family foundation. Like, does all that fit under a 5? I think it's a 501c4. I think those are I thought that was the foundation code, but I could be wrong. But does all that fit under 501c4 or whatever it is? I don't know. Bradley kept Matt Kittle at the Wisconsin Watchdog media site going, and as its parent organization, the Franklin Center for Government Integrity, started to sink. Bradley also gave Bradley prizes to key players on Wall Street Journal's editorial board, Paul Gigot and Kim Strassel. And the editorial board promptly started breaking news on Walker's Wisconsin. Oh my God, they bought the media. Bradley funded Scott Jensen, asshole, and his former chief of staff, Brett Healy, at the McIver Institute to secretly map Wisconsin's progressive infrastructure. Bradley funds media trackers specifically under the category of opposition research. And Bradley knows what this deep investment could accomplish: the astonishing ability to force an extreme right-wing agenda through a state legislature. To force an extreme right-wing agenda through a state legislature over unprecedented mass protests and historic efforts to recall state elected officials. All right, let's see here. In February 2011, Scott Walker dropped the bomb on Wisconsin working families with his Act 10 bill targeting public sector unions and effectuating the steepest cuts to education in Wisconsin history. The American Federation was born in Wisconsin. AFSCME and Wisconsin teachers unions were heavy hitters in Democratic politics. Walker's Act 10 bill stopped government withholding of union dues and implemented a poison pill union recertification requirement that made it extremely difficult for these unions and all public sector unions to recertify. Let's see. Then there was a big strike. When close to 1 million signatures were filed to trigger a recall of the governor, True the Vote produced laughable data claiming that the signatures were forgeries and frauds, and media trackers released a false video showing underage women signing the recall petition. The Democratic Party produced their proof of age. Later, the McIver Institute think tank would engage in a remarkable $3 million ad campaign to defend Act 10 in partnership with the Koch's Americans for Prosperity. That's who's the American. Sorry, I should have known that. When a bipartisan group of 5 district attorneys launched a John Doe probe into allegations of illegal campaign coordination between the Walker campaign and independent electioneering groups during the recall races, the Wall Street Journal broke exclusive news provided by a subpoenaed party Wisconsin Club for Gross Eric O'Keefe and pounded prosecutors as partisan speech police. Wisconsin Watchdog penned 376 hyperbolic articles defending Walker and O'Keefe as media trackers attacked the experienced investigators and the nonpartisan Government Accountability Board, which enforced the state's campaign finance laws. Will defended Walker in the media. I have something like lip gloss on my teeth. Oh, I'm telling you, I need to really down this coffee. You can tell I'm losing my shit. I just looked at American Majority. They provide guides on how to use Twitter and Facebook for political purposes. Why am I not surprised, right? Good job. Thank you, GP. Thanks for that. Let's just see if there's anything else in here. The recall race. Oh my God. I'm so sorry. In the midst of the recall tumult, the Bradley files indicate that Greeby planned the first private Kohler Action Conference in the fall of 2011. Kohler, Wisconsin. This was after the summer's hotly contested Senate recalls. Okay. Invited was a who's who. All right. I'm going to not read the rest of this because I am starting to lose my ability to read the English language. But this article is linked in the chat. Let me just see how long it goes. God, they really are going. This is an excellent expose. This is an excellent deep dive into this foundation. That's cool. All right, we're going to, yeah. It gets a little bit into the weeds of the Wisconsin politics in the last part, but still very interesting. But I won't try and struggle through it because I don't know how to read anymore. I don't know how to read anymore. Let's do Wordle. How do I get... Like, why isn't there a top button? Hi. Hi, New York Times. You guys are dumb. Let's see if there's anything else. Where is my Wordle? Oh, God. I know. I can hear Max yelling at me right now. All right. Here we go. Spoiler alert, if you don't want to know today's Wordle, first of all, we may not get there, so why are you assuming I'm going to get it? But if you don't want to know today's Wordle, do not watch this broadcast. Turn the channel now. All right, so let's do a better word. Well, I kind of really like my word. My beginning word really helps. So we punch in a word and we see what is what. We got nothing. I'm going to do crazy words. Hi, Lee. Oh, back at work. Poop. That's right. Oh, the O's in the right place. The D's in the wrong place. Oh, there's no U. Do. Wordle up. Wordle. No, go for a 7. No, go for 6. I'm really caught up on this U. I can't even believe that I can't use the U. Okay, so what if it's like D, O? Well, it can't be donut. Hello. So what if it's hey man, come on now. Give me a break. No, I didn't. Well, I mean, I did, but, you know. No, there's no E. There's no A. There's no U. All right, so what have I got? I got an I. No S. Maybe nobody played with me, Max. Maybe that's what happened. Okay, wait. Just be quiet. I'm trying to think. How about Scrabble? You know, there's a reason certain letters have high scores. What? Oh, because they're not found in a lot of words? Yep, I know. Caught up on me too. Okay. It's just the public pressure of doing it on stage. Oh my god. I'd probably get it super fast if y'all weren't looking at me. I feel like there's an I. No. Hold on. I feel like okay, the E doesn't go there. I mean, the D must be in the beginning, right? Oh, sorry. No U, no T. I thought it was donut too. I think donut's the right answer. Nope. uh just bear with me a minute. It's not pound. Mindy's like, I can't watch. I'm doing this so you guys feel better about yourselves. Oh my God, it's so hot in here. It's getting hot in here. I'm not taking off any of my clothes. It's getting hot in here. Don't take off all your clothes. I don't care how hot it is. You gotta keep your clothes on. Shit. Okay, I'm just trying to avoid things. All right. Oh, here we go. I got it. Hold on, everybody. I got it. Hang in there. There we go. What do you want to bet? Oh, but is she that dumb? She's not that dumb. She's not that dumb, is she? Maybe she might be, actually. So this has to be there. This has to be there. Is it just this? Wow. Okay. That's random. That's fucking random. Okay. That's fucking random. I'm sorry. That's big old rando right there. Come on now. That's ridiculous. That's a ridiculous wordle. Donut would have been better. I'm just kidding. I think I need to take a nap. I must have not slept well last night because I woke up at 6:15, which is very unusual for me. I mean, I usually wake up at 5:30, but I did not. I woke up bang at 6:15 and threw the cats off the bed. Get out of here. We gotta go. And yeah. That was about the way the morning went. He didn't get out of the cock-a-doodle car. Anyway, I'm going to stop sweating and, maybe go sit outside for a little bit, see how hot it is out there. I think it's actually hotter in my room than it is outside. I think it's less comfortable in my room than it is outside. So I hope your Monday is the best. I hope it goes quickly if it has to. If you don't want it to go quickly, I hope it doesn't. I mean, it's as simple as that. It really depends on what you want. So, but I do hope you have a great day. And please join us tonight. I always get a little scared that nobody's going to come to the space when I start it. And then I'm going to sit there and go, okay, well, never mind. I'll just see you guys later. So if you do have time, throw us up on your phone at 5 o'clock West. We're not peeking at your work. Yeah, my work. Oh, my God. My work is laid out for everyone to see. But please do come to the space tonight, and we'll just be silly and talk about whatever we want to talk about. I'm sure something will happen between now and then. Thank you, GP. It's so good to see you. I know it's late for you. So we'll see you. We'll see you again. And I'll do another gaming stream. I don't know. You never know. I might do one today. I don't know. And we do have to read the book. There's so much. Anyway, I'll see you guys later. I think you're the best. Thank you so much for coming. We're ending the morning with 73 viewers across all platforms. I really appreciate that. I'm so glad everyone joined in. So thanks again, and have a great one. And don't let anybody tell you that you're not just the most wonderful person in the world, because you are. I mean, I said it, so it's got to mean something. Okay, bye. Oops, no. Okay, not bye.